And we're live.
What's up, man?
Julio Arce, thank you so much for taking the time.
Dude, thank you for having me. It's pretty awesome.
I'm very excited to have you on today. So, as I said, I like to get started by having my guests tell the world a little something that the world doesn't know about you already.
I think everyone kind of knows me just from, living here in New York. A lot of people don't know that back then when I was little, I was a little bit of a farm boy, from the other side of, there's another side of me where I used to when I lived in Colombia, I used to go to, my family owned this ranch at the time, and I used to go over there every single weekend, and, we had, it was ridiculous. You think about it, it's like we had 20 dogs, we had about 10 horses, about 7 cows. We had monkeys there. We had 2 man-made lakes. My father had really built out this ranch. It's crazy. And then it's you never experience it because when you go there, it's holy crap, this is straight out of a movie. And when I'm like, this is awesome. Every day I'm playing around with all these dogs, really learning what it's like with the hard labor that you have to taking care of it, taking care of the animals, taking care of, the farm itself, keeping it all nice and neat. But, of course, there's the good side. The downside to this where animals get sick and you have to kind of put them down, which is one of the hardest parts. But it was pretty interesting because it's at a young age, I started learning about really hard labor and what it takes to really take care of a land. We also had a built-in, like a racetrack that would lead down into the lakes. So we would have go-karts and dirt bikes and just freaking ride down all the way every single day. We would take the horses out and just go out into the wild. Even if we get lost, we're just riding all night. It's pretty cool. Hopefully nobody robbed us, because over there, the area, the ranch itself was really nice, but the area surrounding it was also very dangerous. So you don't know who you're running into in these towns. It could be some dude just cracked out, or just some fucking crazy person just trying to kill you. So it kind of the sense of danger and excitement at the same time, the fact that you're just journeying out there, experiencing. And I was a little kid, so I'm just oh, this is freaking awesome. Just enjoying every minute of it.
So how old were you when you left Colombia?
I was about 8 years old.
So from when you were born up until 8, you were in Colombia.
Yeah, I was born here. I was born in Florida, and then I went to live over there right away. And then lived my kid days all the way in Colombia, and then I came here.
And then so there's one thing that I read about your childhood as well, is that you were pretty overweight.
Yeah, when I came here.
When you came here, when you were, I think it was you were 200 pounds at 14. Jesus Christ. Yeah, just so people know, he competes at 145 pounds. So wow, at 14 too. Was it just poorly eating? Was it other things related? How would you describe it?
Well, the thing is, when I lived in Colombia, like I said, one, it's always so hot, and I was so active. I was actually really skinny. I can show you a picture after. I can show you a picture after. You see me, and you'll be like, holy crap. And then, I came here, and of course, I was adjusted to, it was I'll eat whatever I want. And next thing you know, of course, the food over there and the food here is totally different. So then, I'm start getting rolls. I was I don't want to take my shirt off. And I was just very, just self-conscious about it. And next thing you know, I was just holy crap, dude. I'm my body's jiggling all over, and I'm I just don't feel comfortable in it. And and you see just the complete change in how I carried myself when I was a little kid. And then when I gained this weight, I was started kind of shying away from things. I was very quiet about it. Just it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun, but it was something that was for me to go through, because then it's once I lost it and I started training, I was holy shit, it's a whole big difference now.
So you started training at 14 to lose. The sole purpose was to lose weight in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but what I think is also remarkable about that is, you see some kids who are overweight and 14 is very young. Mm-hmm. So you had to have something in you that had this motivation, and cause, a lot of 14-year-olds might have just kind of kicked it back and been fuck, it's gonna be too hard. Is there something that you feel is maybe ingrained in you in your childhood that you had that motivation? Was it you just wanted to be the best version of yourself? Like, where did you find that fuel? Was it just because you wanted to look better and look good? Or like, where did you find, especially 200 pounds to then cut down to wherever, you got to? Mm-hmm. How do you get to that point, and what's going on mentally?
Once I came here, and I started going to the public schools here, that's when you first start encountering, like, people making comments at you, people kind of digging into the fat jokes, and mentally you're just like, like, I didn't know how to take it, because I'm like, okay, like, are you cracking a joke on me? Because, like, from, my background, we all crack jokes on each other, and it's like, all right, it's all fun and games, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But then when you kind of really look at it, and these people are like, these kids are just like, really, like, you're understanding what bullying is. And I'm just like, oh man, start kind of getting self-conscious about it. I'm like, okay, instead of taking it in a whole different path, I'm like, okay, let me try to do something about it. I tried other team sports, and it kind of wasn't like, I wasn't like taking to it, because I either felt like, one, I was too chubby to really do anything for the team. And I'm like, okay. And then I felt like, okay, now, like, the team's not doing good. They're not doing good because of me. But like I said, there's many different factors there. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to do something for me. So my oldest sister, Kathy, she, when I was 13, she brought me into Tiger Shulmans. And she's like, yeah, just come in, just try the class. And from there on, I just fell in love with just training. And, here I am today. And it wasn't just the fact that I was like, okay, let me do something. It was just the people around me, my family. They were like, especially my sisters, like, dude, you got to do something about it. I was tired of these kids making jokes at me for the way I looked, and just kind of picking me and digging at me. And I was just like, okay, we got to do something. And then she's like, just do it. Just go in there. Look, if you don't like it, we move on to the next thing, but just go in there and try it. And maybe it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy. And then from there on out, here I am today.
So then how did you make that transition from kind of training just to lose weight and to, would you say blow off some steam? Mm-hmm. Did you have pent up anger?
Probably, yeah. I'm always like a very chill person, like everyone kind of knows me. I'm always just like smiling. I'm always just having a good time. And I guess the fact that I train, really, if, I don't know, I never really like took a look into like that pent up anger, but maybe I did. And, I let it out through training, and that's why I'm as relaxed as I am, to this very day.
So then at what point were you getting competitive and thinking, okay, I'm pretty good at this. I can make, I can compete, and I can maybe make a life and a career out of it?
So the first couple of times when I started training was, I started in like a beginner class. So I was just learning like the basic foundations. And since I was also a kid, I was also put in jiu-jitsu. And, like at the first couple of times, it's like, okay, I'm trying to understand, someone's on top of you, you got to try and get out. And like I say, like, I'm just training just to lose weight, but I just kept consistently coming. I was literally there. I was training at the school every single day, like Monday through Saturday. Like, and I was just like, I just got hooked on it. And though, as I started losing the weight, then I also realized that how my skill was building. And like I said, that wasn't really a thought in my head at one point until, like, my coaches were like, dude, why don't you try doing this tournament? Like, just do the tournament. Don't even worry about it. It's like, just keep training with the way you're doing, and just go to this tournament. I'm like, all right. I went to like a competition training that we have like on Sundays with the whole team, just training. And then I was like tapping kids left and right. I'm like, oh, Sam. I remember the first time I did jiu-jitsu, and like I did the walls of Jericho on some kid just for the hell of it. And I'm like, oh, let me try this. I saw it on TV. And then I was just trying stuff. I was having so much fun with it that I was like, oh snap. It's like in the midst of me just trying to lose weight, then like I was so, like my skill was just getting better and better, and without me even knowing, until like yet somebody from the outside is like, dude, you're doing really good. It's like, why don't you test yourself out? And then once I started competing, it's like,
how old are you?
I was 13 at the time.
Wow. So even like a year, or you said you started.
I started at 13.
Okay.
And then like halfway, like not even like 6 months into it, I was just so hooked that I was just like, yo, let me just go.
And how much weight did you lose initially? Like, what was that
I
process?
lost about 30, actually, 35, 40 pounds. And like I said, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just training hard because I was so hooked on it. Like, it just kind of kept shedding off.
35, 40 pounds in 6 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's because I just went religiously. I was just like every single day, and I was training. I was taking like 2 classes, and I was just like, yo, I'm going. And I was having so much fun with it that it started, like, you kind of see like a switch. Because if I was focused on there's points where I was focused on like, I gotta lose weight, and it wasn't happening at the like as fast as I wanted. And I was like, all right, it kind of like in my mind, I'm like, all right, what else do I have to do? And then I'm just focused on just like the skill. There was like a switch that happened. They were like, you're doing really good. It's like, keep pushing yourself. Go against this person. Challenge yourself against this person, in the training area. And I was then so focused on like, all right, I'm going to try and tap this guy out. I'm going to do everything I can to get this guy. It's like in kickboxing, I'm going to do everything I can to be able to land something on this person. And then, I was having so much fun with it just through the learning aspect of it that the weight just kept coming off. And then next thing you know, I'm like, holy crap, I'm shredded.
Wow. And what's that? Was there more confidence there once you were starting to get shredded and you felt and you're tapping guys and you're having success? Like, what's going on? What's that change mentally? You're still like 13, 14. You're still so young. And in 6 months, you probably see an insane transition physically, emotionally, mentally. What is that all like?
Well, you know what? Mentally was like, it was just like, it's like a whole door was like a door was open, and now it's like, holy crap, dude. Like it's how to put it? It's like, it was just like a power up right there. And I'm like, holy crap. It's like, this is what I'm capable of. And, then when I'm walking around, it's like, you see me out in the street, you'd be like, oh, who is this? It's like, you wouldn't even think that I would fight or that I would do any of this, that I would do martial arts, period. And then, like, the way I carry is like, nobody really knows what I'm capable of except me. And then, like, look, God forbid somebody was actually trying to mess with me, I'd be like, yeah, that person's fucked.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I'm like, especially you, because you're about 5'7"?
Yeah.
It's like, if you see you walking on the street, you probably don't realize how fucking dangerous you are. Like in reality,
Yeah.
Like if someone tries, whether it goes to the ground, you fucking Golden Gloves champ, like they don't realize that you could really, really hurt someone. Is that like, I always wonder, because I don't have a background at all in that. Is that empowering? Is that like, do you feel, other than obviously like a weapon, but like, do you feel like probably virtually anybody, you'll be fine? Is that like a good feeling when you're walking on the street?
Yeah. What's great about, the fact that I started this martial arts journey is that I knew what I was capable of. So the way I carried myself was completely different. And, through like the body language, it shows. At the same time, it's like, look, martial arts and you carry yourself in a confident way, then it's like, you're not even going to have to be worried about anybody. It's kind of like insurance, like you have it there, just hoping you don't have to use it. So like for me, I'm like, look, if somebody tries to confront me, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, really? It's like, do you really want to do this? Like, are you trying to be tough?
Have you had that moment?
I had that moment a couple of times, and this is when I was still like going to high school. Like people didn't, like I said, in high school, I kind of really just kept to myself, like I said, with my friends, and it was just like, I minded my own business. I never confronted anybody. Like I said, I knew exactly what I'm capable of just through my training. So, but you got those kids that they try to kind of establish themselves, and then they try to bring other people down. Kids that try to confront me. I remember when I had like the CD player, when CD players were still cool.
You're not that old, are you?
Well, I turned 30. I turned 30 this Sunday.
I know. In a few days, I was gonna say I saw that. So happy pre-birthday.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this airs, you'll be 30. Yeah. Holy shit.
So it, like I had this like CD player with like this burned CD that like a friend of mine did for me, and like this kid in class, goes, it's like, yo, like, what do you listen to? Can I hear it? I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Here you go. You can listen to it. And then he didn't want to give it back, and I'm like, I'm like, dude. He's like, give my CD player back. Class is ending. He's like, I'll let you listen to. He's like, no. You know, I'll hold on to it next period. I'm like, and I was like, fuck that, man. You're gonna give me my CD player back. I'm like, we're cool, but we're not that cool where you're just gonna take my shit, because I know exactly the type of person you are, right? Here's this kid that's like, oh, you know, he's cool with you, borrow something, you never get it back, you never see it back. You're like, I'm like, yo, give my fucking CD player back, man. We're gonna have a problem. Why? Because he was trying to get like more hostile about it. He's like, no, I'll hold on to it. He was a much bigger kid, and it gets to the point that he's like, you gotta put your foot down, and it's like, dude, give my freaking CD player back. I'm gonna take it back by force. And then like, I think just by the way I just kind of like presented it to him, I was like I'm not playing around with you, man. It's like give it back. It's like there's a point where people kind of mistake my kindness for weakness, and I'm like he's like, dude, I'm being nice to you, and not like you're trying to take advantage of that. I'm like, yeah, you're going down the wrong path right now.
Did you tap him?
I wish, but I was in class. But like the class is ending, so he's trying to bail out, and I'm like, I don't know, like no, you're gonna stay right there, and then you're gonna give me my CD player back. And like I had a couple other confrontations, you know.
You got it back?
Oh yeah, I got it back.
But you didn't have to.
I didn't have to because like I think he can see like I had like a look in my eyes where I'm like, you're not leaving this. We're not stepping out of this classroom until you give that back.
Yeah.
And if it takes to another level, I'm like, I'm walking out of here, and you're gonna be in worse shape.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's that kind of like where it's like I wasn't backing down to him, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna give this back. You're not just gonna take my stuff because I'm being nice to you, and you're like, oh, I can keep it. No, it's like give it back. That's it, plain and simple. Especially because, like I said, this kid had that kind of reputation. He'll be all cool with you, then you let me borrow something, and then when you try to get it back, it's like, you know, he's kind of flips the switch, and he's like, no, you know, it's pretty much like it's mine, that type of thing.
So then have you had any when you're older, like in your 20s?
You know what? When in my 20s, I never had any confrontation. Like it's one of those that's people would try to talk stuff like when I was training, because we had a location, and our location was on Bell Boulevard. It's like a strip, and there's a bunch of bars there. And people would walk in sometimes drunk, and they try to like, you know, oh, let me see what you're about. You know, we had some kids and some like teenagers, like when I was like, some like older teenagers, like even actually in our 20s. And then we had some adults walk in and just like, oh, you know, trying to talk shit. Be like, okay, here, sign this waiver. Come on the mat. And we kind of kicked the shit out of them. And then we would just like, I send them on their way. But nothing like crazy where it's like out in the street where I'm getting to a street fight. You know, like I avoid all that. I think I just wanted to keep an image for myself, because like by then I was also helping instruct, and I knew a lot of families around the neighborhood, so I don't be like, oh, you know, so-and-so got into a bar fight the other day, so-and-so got into this fight. I'm like, nah, if I go out, I mind my business. If people try to start something, it's one of those like, dude, back away, man. It's like why? Everyone's having a good time, just chill, you just go do your thing. And like, I'd rather walk away from it than, you know, let my ego take over. It's like, dude, I'm just going to drop you right now and just leave you laid on that floor. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. It's like, because nowadays, people on their phones, people got videos. You don't need things like that going out. I'm like, dude, just go your way, go my way. I don't care. It's like, if somebody would be like, oh, you're a pussy for not fighting. I don't care, man. Like, I know what I can do, and I know what this person can't do. Like, if they're drunk and they're trying to confront me, whatever it is, I'm like, this person's, you know, they're drunk. It's like, what am I going to do? Knock this person out? What am I going to get out of it? So I just avoided things like that and just kind of mind my business. Unless it became to a point where like somebody like, you know, a close friend of mine, or like, look, if I'm with my girlfriend, somebody tries to like, you know, get a little hostile or anything, then, you know, then we got a different issue.
Do you warn them? Are you like, look, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu?
I'm an MMA black belt.
MMA black belt all around. So MMA black belt and a gold gloves champion. So take your pick. Do you have you ever had to warn them and like let them know? Because at first sight, they might not expect that you have all this background.
you know what? I don't even warn them. Like I just stand my ground. And I'm just like, dude, back away, man.
So, talk to me. I mean, we were talking a little bit before because I just wanted to make sure. You might be the only person, I don't know, who has competed at Madison Square Garden boxing, kickboxing, and for the UFC. What does that sound like when I say that? What's that in your head? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I had somebody tell me before. It's like, I'm gonna call you Mr. Trifecta.
Exactly. You're the real Triple C.
Exactly. And, well, the first one, was the Golden Gloves, which was actually one of the most amazing tournaments that I had. It's my boxing coach, Ray Velez, who's a huge part of our team. He was like, dude, I want you to do the gloves. And I was like, I don't want to do boxing. I don't want to do the gloves. I don't want to do this. And I was trying to get out of it. Like, at first, I did not want to do it. And then, my coach guy's like, you want to become a professional? It's like, you want to take your fighting career to that next level? Do the boxing. Do the Golden Gloves. It's like, we don't care. Like, we don't care. It's like, win, whatever. Just, it's all experience for you, especially at the amateur level. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Then I went to the daily news building, and like I'm sitting there, I'm waiting in line, and I get to the front where the guy's like, asking me questions. He's like, oh, you're Tiger Shulmans, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you doing the gloves? What weight class? I'm like 141. And he's like, all right, like, you really want to do this? I don't think you're gonna make it far. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. And then I sit next to the next guy interviewing me, and the funny thing is, I'll tell you like after. I'm sitting there next to the person that's interviewing me. The guy like checks, he stamps my book, and the guy's asking me, tell us a little bit about your background. He's like, what have you competed in? I'm like, well, I've 10-0 in amateur MMA, and I am 10-0 in kickboxing. And the guy's like, whoa, you have a lot of fight experience. And I'm like, yeah, I like to compete. He's like, I want to get good, and I want to do this because this is the next step I need to evolve my game. And then so then I leave, and then I do the gloves. I'm literally fighting every week. Like, I get a notification like, you're fighting at this location, be there, be on weight next week. And then after I fight, they're like, okay, you're fighting at this location, be on weight. And it was pretty cool because I was excited. I'm like, they're keeping me active. And when did it happen? So we go to the finals. And the person I fought in the finals was this guy's kid. So the guy that was telling me, oh, you're not going to make it very far. Like, I fought his guy in the finals, and I beat him. So in a way, I'm kind of like, I look at him like, yeah, dude, pretty much, yeah, like, keep your mouth closed, bro. How dare you? It's like you already counted me out just because I'm Tiger Shulmans, and as a lot of people kind of, you say Tiger Shulmans was like the McDojo and stuff like that. We're just commercial, but they don't. Little do they know, it's like, we have a stable full of such talent, and people are just unaware because they see us on the commercial because Tiger Shulmans martial arts, it's become such a successful organization, and the fact that they built that, Tiger Shulmans built that kind of success. People also talk down it because, oh, you're commercial, I just see, that's all you do. But they don't really know until they actually, see the product that we bring out. Like, we have like kids right now at the black belt level, not even at black belt level, who are just competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments, boxing, kickboxing, and they're dominating. They're doing amazing. So it goes to show you that, like, we're not just a commercial. We're not just a McDojo. And then next thing you know, we have people in the UFC. And then people are like, oh, you guys are a legit school. And then I think now we're at that point where people are really respecting the name of Tiger Shulmans, as before they weren't showing that much respect, which is what happens when I went to the gloves, because they're just thinking, oh, karate, Tiger Shulmans karate, this, that. And I'm like, no, we can box too. We can box, we can kickbox, we can do jiu-jitsu, we do MMA. So when he saw that I beat his guy and I was the guy he's fighting in the final, he's like, oh shit, these guys are legit.
So you win Gold Gloves in 2011, and then when do you officially become you start your pro MMA career?
I started my pro MMA career about like a year and a half after.
Okay.
Because then after the gloves, I did a couple more kickboxing matches. I got at least three more MMA fights. And then I did a couple of jiu-jitsu tournaments. And then from there, my coach is like, okay, look, you're very comfortable all around. Like, which is exactly the path that I'm glad they put me through. They're like, all right, you're going to do MMA. You're going to do jiu-jitsu tournaments. You're going to do kickboxing. You're going to do boxing. So then when you go as a pro, you're not just one-dimensional. It's like you're comfortable in every situation of the game.
Yeah, there's one thing that even when you say that, I was watching all your fights yesterday again. Too many times I feel like there's so many UFC fighters. I mean, obviously you guys are at such a high level, but they're very good at one thing and they're decent at another. What really stands out about your game for me is like you're just so solid all around. I mean, they're talking, you hear the commentary while you're listening back to the fight, and they're like, yeah, he won Gold Gloves. He's also a black belt in MMA. He also, I mean, you're defending all the takedowns. You're piecing guys up on the feet. There's not really any holes to your game. How do you, now that you're, all around so solid, how do you continue to make those improvements? Is there a place in your game that you feel like I can continue to improve? Do you work on everything? Like, what's that like with your coaches?
It's, the way I see it for this, I always think it's like, I kind of go back to my basics, and in my mind, I tell myself, okay, I'm not good enough at this yet. I have to do this more. I was like, I'm never too good to keep on working at it. And then it makes me want to work hard at it. Like, whether it's like, look, there's definitely like my coaches always, they have like that kind of eye where like, you can do this better. It's like you're not moving your feet, right? You're not moving your head. I was like, all right, hit this move a little bit more. Use your kicks more. And they have that, so that they'll tell me, and they're so honest with me, which is something I always appreciate, because they're like, okay, you're doing this. Work at this part more. Okay. There was a point, like when I decided to move up a weight class, they're like, okay, you gotta build your strength. You gotta start lifting, which is something I didn't incorporate. And then, I started hitting strength and conditioning. And then, my girlfriend over there, that's my coach too. She does the strength and conditioning program for us. And then they had me lifting so I can put on a little bit of weight, so I wouldn't just move up a weight class and still be like this skinny guy fighting at 45, put on some weight. And anything that I need to work on, they'll be like, okay, do this, do that. In my mind as well, when I'm like, even though I feel like I'm comfortable all around, I tell myself, I'm like, you're not at that, it's like, you're technically like, I'm not good enough yet. It's like, I got to keep working at it.
Do you feel like you always will have to and always do keep that mindset of I'm not good enough yet?
Yeah, like I empty my cup. I'm like we're working a double leg. I don't go like, oh my God, we worked this so many times, I'm tired. I'm like, all right, let's go. How can we make the double leg faster? How can I get to the person's leg, go? And I just empty my cup. It's like, all right, back to basics. Let's keep working. How can I make this technique better? Whether it's, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, it's like every time I'm just like, how can I get better at this? Even though I've done it hundreds and thousands of times, like there's always somehow seems to be a way to make it better. So
in between Gold Gloves, then you're the Ring of Combat featherweight, bantamweight champion. You defend a couple times, I believe. Yeah. I think what I also like about your career is I don't feel, and you kind of mentioned this before, you were not rushed into becoming into the UFC at least, as well, because sometimes you'll see like these amazing wrestlers, and they don't have full all around MMA game, that they're just thrust into like the UFC because they're a big star in another sport. Describe that first moment so you're on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. You win by TKO. You don't get signed. Probably a little disappointing. No? Then you get short replacement. Sub in for Charles Rosa, I believe it was 220?
Yeah.
and you're thrust onto a pay-per-view UFC 220. What's going on in your head? You're like, holy shit, I'm at the UFC. Is that the moment that you feel like, do you even feel like you made it? But was that a big turning point at least?
Oh, it was huge turning point. Like from the Contender Series, because even before the Contender Series, I kind of missed my opportunity to get into the UFC a couple times.
Okay.
The first time it was like I was very early in my career. I only had like 2 fights at bantamweight, and then they had like a short replacement, and it was like fighting in Canada. They're like, you got to fight. I think it was it Mitch Gannon who fights at 35, but it was like, all right, replace part, go find Canada. And it's like, all right, you got shot to the UFC, and my coach was like, no. It's like, we don't want you going on the bright lights too soon, because then what happens is, look, you freeze up, and there goes your UFC career. It's like, take your time. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. At first, like, I was so pumped, and I was like, but I feel like I'm ready. And then, but I was like, okay, you got it. It's like a couple of times is I was fighting Brian Kelleher. He was my first loss, and it was kind of like I was there, but by then I was at least, I think I was 7-0 in bantamweight as a pro, and I lost that fight. So then it was like, okay, we're gonna do a rematch, and then Dana White's gonna be there looking for a fight. Okay, cool. And then I get hurt, and then I had to back out of the fight. So somebody else jumped in as a replacement. Keller knocked the guy out, and then he got signed. So there was my second shot. The third time, I was already the featherweight champion, and I was defending my title, and Dana White was doing the looking for a fight thing, and he was there in the audience, and I won the fight, and I decisively just shut the guy down, but I didn't fight the way I normally fight. I feel like I was fighting just to try to impress, and I put all this pressure on myself for no reason, and it just wasn't me when I fought. And then somebody else got taken in, and I defend my title, and I was just I'm like damn, it's like why'd I do that? It's like you're just fine to just try and impress. No, fight your fight, be you, be Julio. That's it. And then of course came Contender Series. I got that opportunity, and TKO'd the guy. I was super stoked about it, and of course I didn't get the contract. And at first, it was disappointing for at least, when they announced it, of course, I'm disappointed by that. But then it's at that point where I was like, damn, it was like a quick decision. I'm like, okay, you didn't get opportunity. It's like, who knows when it's going to come? I'm like, you could just stop now. You could just stop now and just be like, okay, dude, you showed what you could, and you didn't get the shot. It's like, just stop and do something else. Stop the fighting and go. I was like, but on the other side, I'm like, fuck that, man. It's like, you know what? I left my mark there. I TKO'd this guy, and I did it in impressive fashion, and I'm like, just go back, heal up, train, and who knows, maybe you're gonna get an opportunity. But you showed them what you're capable of. And then next thing you know, Charles Rosa pulls out of a UFC 220, and my teammate Shane Burgos goes he shouts it out on Twitter. He's like, yo, so-and-so is, Julio's ready. Put him in. Late replacement. He's already in shape. He's weight ready. It's like, just put him in. And then, everyone started getting the ball rolling and just putting it out on Twitter, putting it out on Instagram, on Facebook. And next thing you know, they're like, okay, yo, you're going to fight Dan Ige at 220. I was like, holy shit. You're like, fuck, I finally made it. So I stayed ready even when I thought I was like, okay, that's it. I lost my opportunity for the 4th time. But then I was like, no, keep going because your success to get into the UFC might be around the corner. You can't give up too soon. And then I got this fight. When I went in there, that stadium is giant.
What was that like when you make that UFC walk for the first time?
You know what? To me, some people get nervous. Some people try to get in the zone. I was looking around. I was looking at the stage. I was looking around like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, holy crap! I finally made it. I did it. I was just so. The excitement took over, and then when I'm they locked the cage, they're announcing, I'm just like, oh, I made it, yo, Bruce Buffer saying my name out loud right now. And then then from there on out, it's like get the ball wrong. And every time I just feel that excitement going into the cage.
How do you lock in, because that Dan Ige performance, he's a tough out. He's a good opponent. And you went in there and, 30-27 to him. One judge, I think it was 29-28, but whatever. You basically shut him out. You were just better. How did you then, from being that kid in the candy store to then bite down on the mouthpiece and get in there? How is there something that you do before every fight where you have to switch it on and it's like, all right, it's fight time?
Yeah, you see the cage door closing. It's like, all right, one of us is leaving with our hand raised in victory. And I'm like, this is like, I know both him and I were looking at each other because I think he was making his UFC debut too. And it was like, we're both in for a hell of a night right now. One of us is leaving here with our hand up in the air. And I'm like, and it's not going to be, you're not leaving here with your hand up in the air. It's going to be me. And we went in there, and that dude's tough as hell. Yeah, and look at him now. He's been on a run. He's doing great. But when I went in there, I was like, all right, let's go, man. I'm here. This is my opportunity. Now I got to show what I got. I was like, go in there. Do your fight. Be you. Have fun.
We're going to take a quick break because we're going to talk about Manscaped. I hear you got some good manscaping stories for me. Support for Where's This Going comes from Manscaped, who is #1 in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for all of your family jewels. Julio, you got any good manscaping stories for me today, sir?
Hey, look, just like you said, good tools for the family jewels, especially when you try, shave down there. You don't want it to be too hairy, and that thing just nicks the ball sack.
All right, I got you. That's why my friends over at Manscaped have created the only single tool that you need, Julio, to shave your balls. It's called the Lawnmower 2.0 for a reason. The Lawnmower 2.0 is an electric trimmer worthy of getting up close and personal with your family jewels. The best part of it is that it won't nick your snack.
Thank God.
Nick your snack. It's perfect for travel. It's so small, it fits in your travel bag. It is a convenient USB charger and is TSA approved. And of course, I don't know if you know about this, let's not forget about the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits, so why are you not putting it on the smelliest part of your body?
That's true.
Especially MMA, you guys get all sweaty.
Stinky balls are the worst.
When it comes to hygiene, Manscaped has you covered. They even have a new cooling antifungal foot spray. Say goodbye to stinky foot funk and dry skin with the Manscaped Foot Duster. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code WTG at manscaped.com. Always use the right tools for the job. Julio, your balls will thank you. Wow. Anyways, let's get back into it. So after that first fight, debut, win, excitement, then you get back in there against I think he's the younger Tamer brother.
I think
definitely the smaller.
I think he's the smaller, but I think the older Tamer brother.
Okay. So the older but the smaller Tamer brother, go in there, you get a sub. Your first finish in the UFC. What's that like?
Well, that one I wouldn't say it was a lot of hype, but I think he tried to hype it up a lot because I know we were at the weigh-ins and he got in my face. He got on his tippy toes. He's in my face, and it was funny because Mick Maynard was standing in between us, and he's getting close, and I think even I'm standing there. I'm just like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to weigh in. Smile, whatever, and go. And this dude gets in my face. Mick Maynard tries to stop it. His head hits my face. I'm like, oh, dude, it's like you're on your tippy toes. You're trying to get in my face. All right, you're trying to make it that type of fight. It's like before you were being like, hey, how you doing? All of a sudden, you're getting in my face like that, trying to be all aggressive. I was like, okay, cool. And then I get in there, we're going back and forth, and then from there I just hit that sub, and I'm like
you guys were on the feet the whole fight, and it was basically the first time you guys get to the ground, take his back, and then boom.
Yeah, that's how I was like, okay. He's like, because he kept low kicking me, low kick. I was like, all right. And my corner was like, take him down. Look, you take him down. He doesn't want to be on the ground. I was like, all right. Do a low kick, boom, caught it, took his back, choked him out, and I was like, all right, that's all she wrote. And then I think people were like, oh, he can do jiu-jitsu too. He's not just a striker. So then it's like, okay, people are knowing a little bit more about me and about what I can do. So it was pretty exciting. I'm like, first finish, I'm like, yeah.
So then after that, then it's your first UFC appearance at MSG. Didn't go your way. But the reality is, other than, I think it was the 2 straight rights. I mean, you're winning those rounds, I think, in my opinion. So then you come back, beautiful head kick of Julian Erosa. When you think about it, I don't think you've lost very many rounds in the UFC. You're 3-1 in the UFC. Split loss is your only loss. And it was probably just because of getting dropped. But other than that, you're winning those rounds, in my opinion. So, you have 4 fights. You've probably lost maybe 2, maybe 3 rounds if someone wants to give a round elsewhere. You've got to be feeling pretty good.
Dude, I feel amazing. And the fact is, I have to thank everyone that's helped me evolve my game, from the boxing to the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, to my strength and conditioning, to also being able to just really taking care of myself and just helping me build. It's like pretty much it's like you're building Terminator. It's like, we're gonna give you this, we're gonna give you that, we're gonna give you that. And they've just gotten me to that point where I'm really comfortable all around. So, whether I go to the ground, I'm gonna be comfortable there, and I'm gonna look to win these rounds. If I'm on the feet, like, I'm gonna go. Like, I've kind of got built into like this fine old machine that's just gonna keep going. Like, going back to the MSG fight with Shayman, that fight did a lot for me. One, it got a lot of people behind me, because that dude hit freaking hard. Yeah. He dropped me hard, and I'm just like, I get up, I felt like a zombie. I just get up, all right, let's go, keep going. I just kept pushing the pace. I know like everyone was like really concerned because I was bleeding a lot, and it was like a small little cut.
That was maybe one of the most bloody fights I've ever seen, to be honest.
That's pretty awesome, dude. I left my clone at the Garden.
Were you okay after, like, it was just a small cut, but it was just in a bad spot?
Yeah, it was just like a small cut right here, like at the top, like by my forehead on the side. And, of course, got the blood pumping. We're all going. So it's like, it was just like pouring out. So it seemed worse than what it was, which I also kind of think, like, the judge was like, yo, this guy's bleeding. This dude is banged up.
Did you think you won the fight?
I think, I think it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if it went for me, I'm like, yo, we put on a hell of a fight. It's like, if it went for him, I was like, I wasn't mad at it either. Like I said, look, he had the fact that he dropped me twice, that going for him, and then I kept pushing the rest of the round. That was a point. First round, it was always a close one because I got his back at the end of it. So they're like, okay, you got dropped, but then he came back and then stayed on his back for the rest of the round. So it's like, how do you judge that? And then also I feel like the fact there was so much blood coming from me, I don't know if the judge was basing on damage-wise. I was like, whatever, it was great. People were like, holy shit, this dude, what's that movie with Carrie?
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's like a scene where she's like all bloody, and they were just putting like the GIFs online of me. It's like, this Julio Arce right now, like Carrie, like is bleeding like crazy. I'm like, that's awesome. It brought a lot of my following up, and then because look, in that fight, I was like, I left it all in there, like, and that's a great feeling. I'm like, you know what, it didn't go my way, but it's just like I fought my heart out there, and he got away with it by a split. So, all right, let's move on to the next one. Heal up, and then came the Julian Erosa fight.
And then head kick knockout cold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you're at right now. Would you say your confidence is at an all-time high in terms of where you're at as a UFC fighter?
Oh man, it is an all-time high. I feel just great.
How's this camp been?
Oh, this camp's been amazing. Like, we've just been really implementing, taking all the right steps. My coaches, even my strength and conditioning coach over there. No, you're not paying me, but she's my rock. She's super supportive. They'd been like, look, you train nonstop. You have to make sure you're also giving your body a rest, because there was points where I'm training so hard that my recovery is not really keeping up. So then I started adding some recovery days here and there, and then it's made my game even better. Because look, it's not overtraining, but it's also, if you're not recovering, like if you're not doing what you're supposed to like getting the proper amount of sleep or getting like at least a rest day in there, it's going to affect you later on. So I'm like, it just did it smart every step of the way, and keeping myself safe, thank God, no major injuries. So feel good, man. Feel super pumped.
And what are you, right now, we're recording we're 9 days out, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
When this drops, it'll probably be 4 or 5. What are you at right now in terms of weight?
Yesterday.
What do you usually walk around at?
I walk around like 160 when I'm not training for a fight. If I'm training, I'm walking around like 155. So then right now I'm like right there, 155, 154. They say weight cutting for me is thing of the past now.
And we were kind of talking about this even before we got started. You've competed at 135.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't go back to 135?
Unless I have like I really make a strict nutrition, and then maybe, who knows, but I would have to really sit down and talk about it. But like for me, I don't even want to have to think about from 160 to 135. I ain't doing that. Yeah. And like when I was cutting to 35, of course, as we're all coming up through the fight game, I think we all kind of learn, okay, this is the proper way to cut weight. Like in the early stages of the fight career, like now, luckily, like it's so advanced that it's like, okay, people have it down to a science. Before, it's like people were kind of just flying by the seat of their pants. They're like, don't eat for the next 3 days, you'll be good. And then it's that kind of stuff. But it's changed so much, so it makes it easier for everybody. But for me, I think it's like my body's trying to grow, and I was fighting so recently, like just on like every month I was pretty much fighting, and it was like, okay, fight, put your weight back on. Okay, now you gotta cut weight again, put your weight back on. I'm like, this is killing me. There's a point during my 2 losses at 35 against Kelleher, for me, he got the better of me. But also for me, like it's like the weight cut was really starting to affect me. Like I wasn't coming back from it the way I was before, So it was like doing much more harm than good. So I was like, you know what? Let me move up a weight class. Start hitting the weights, start really bulking up a little bit. And then when I did my debut at 45 at CFFC, like choked the dude out second round, and I was like, I feel great. And I had to sit in the sauna for like 5 minutes, lose like 2 pounds. And I was like, all right, let's walk on that scale.
Do you feel like, because I'm looking at the 135 and 145 division, 145 is fucking stacked.
Love it, man. Love it.
Is there someone, let's not look forward, let's not look past this fight, but is there one guy that you like that stands out to you, like, oh, I want to fight him one day?
You know what? They don't stand out, because eventually I'm going to cross paths with a lot of them, right? It's like, look, they're the top for a reason, and I'm trying to climb my way to the top. So, like, right now, like Hakeem Dawad, who's the person that I'm fighting now, it's like he's the person I have to beat to get to the top. He's somebody that, of course, we're both coming up, and eventually we're going to cross paths. And then there's people that's still ahead of me who, although they might not see me now because I'm not, like, ranked, I'm still kind of at the bottom. When I work my way up, it's somebody I'm going to cross paths with. And so that actually excites me even more, because what happens is if I look forward to try to fight one person in particular, who knows, with this sport the way it is, who knows? They might not be around for the sport during that time, or they just might be like, I'm fighting bigger and better people. So I just focus. I'm like, okay, I know once I get to the top, a lot of you guys are going to have no choice but to fight me. And I'm like, that's awesome, because then we're going to eventually cross paths. And that makes it more exciting for me.
So speaking of Hakeem, what do you see in his game that, let's not expose it. Let's not expose the game plan. But, I did watch a little tape on him. I think, obviously, he's a great fighter. Do you feel like it's your toughest test to date?
Yeah. Look, if he's that person, he's worked his way up as well. He's got a kickboxing background. He's well-rounded. He's the next tough task in front of me. So if me and him are set to lock horns, I feel like, one, it's going to be a great scrap between me and him, and I just can't wait to really just bring it. He's that next tough task for me to be able to move on either top 15. So,
and I feel like when I'm looking at his game, he's got some mean kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch a lot of tape on your opponents?
Yeah.
Is that part of, like, what's a camp kind of look like at Team Tiger Shulmans? Like, do you guys, I'm sure you're practicing multiple times a day, different disciplines, and then do you guys all like watch tape together, especially because you have, I think, two of your other teammates, it's Lyman Good and Shane Burgos that are also on the card. Do you guys all go through the same motions together? How's that work?
Well, so for Lyman and Shane, they're fighting more wrestlers, so their game plan is a little different. But as a team, we all, like every single day from Monday through Friday, we either do jiu-jitsu and then striking, or wrestling, striking, boxing, and jiu-jitsu. So like we're constantly working those arts on a regular basis, plus our conditioning right after. But usually, we kind of gear if they're fighting wrestlers, we're gearing our training towards what their guys are gonna do in practice. If my guy's a striker, we're gonna kind of gear to what he does. But all in all, it's like we focus on everyone kind of goes through the same techniques, same drills, and then when it's time to spar, sometimes our coach brings boxers from the outside or people from the outside. So we're not just going with each other every single time that we spar. We have people from the outside, like world boxing champions, or like really good wrestlers, and we get in there and we spar with them. We try to implement what we're doing for our fight camps against them. So like some days we'll bring some our coach will bring some guys who are like really good wrestlers. Like there's who's his name? Rustam, this dude who's like jiu-jitsu. Yeah. He's like a grizzly bear, literally. And he's ridiculous. He's really good. And he'll go in there, with Lyman, and
he's in the UFC too, no?
No, he's a different
Maybe
Rustam.
I'm thinking of a different guy.
Yeah, this guy, the Rustam, he's more like a really top wrestling jiu-jitsu guy. He's the one who's like the Russian bear. Scary too.
I know, man. Those Russian like Dagestani guys, man, they all grapple and wrestle like.
You know what? They're hungry for it, and I admire that, because it's like some people get to that level and then I'm in there, I'm comfortable now, I'm good. It's like, no, you got people that are like, all right, I'm gonna fight this person. Who's next after? But so I keep the same mindset. I'm like, you don't know how things are going to turn out. Sometimes, look, you might be on the ups and you might hit a slump. I'm like, you got to be ready to go. You got to be hungry for it at all times. Like, the way it's like if you haven't gotten to the UFC yet, you're hungry to get in there, and you got to keep that hunger all the way through.
Have you had most of the same coaches since you started?
Yeah, I've been with my coaches going on to 18 years.
Wow.
One of the great things is, Tiger Shulmans has brought me from this fat, little kid to this level. So they literally like raised me from the beginning. I wasn't I wasn't talented at martial arts at all when I started. So it's not like I was like a good wrestler and I was like, oh, let me just jump in here. Oh, I'm a good striker, let me just jump in here. No, it's like I had zero experience, none. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna raise you. And then they brought me to this level. Same thing with Shane and Lyman. Like, we all started in Tiger Shulmans, and then they brought us to the UFC level, which is an amazing accomplishment in itself. Like, sometimes, you hear other camps, you have somebody who's wrestled in high school for a long time, like, I'm going to join this camp. And then, like you said before, we'll teach you some striking, get in there, go. It's like, no, we were zero experience, started from scratch. We were just a blank canvas, and they made a masterpiece out of all of us. Like, look, myself, Shane, Lyman, Jimmy Rivera, Luis Gano,
Sure, Jimmy Rivera's at that camp too.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You have Mike Trezano, Nick Pace, who was one of the first people to go into the UFC at bantamweight. So, and you got other people that, like I said, every one of our fighters, they started in Tiger Shulmans, and they came up through Tiger Shulmans even at this high level. Like, with this, those were our main coaches from the very beginning. So,
what's your relationship like with all those guys? Shane, Lyman, Jimmy. Would you say those became like some of your best friends?
Yeah,
you spent so much time with them.
Yeah, we're on the mat. We beat the shit out of each other on a regular basis, and then we laugh about it after, and we crack jokes. And those guys, they're all my brothers. Everyone in the Tiger Shulmans organization, they're family to me, because we're always on that mat putting in work. Like sometimes we show up in the morning train, we're like, oh God, we're exhausted. And then once we start going, it's like we're there to motivate each other, which is great. It's like one big family. And then you got people that like a lot of up and comers who then they come and spar with us, and then they get hyped up, and then they're like there every single day. And then so now it's like our amateur team is really growing. We got a bunch of people who are going to be going pro soon. Plus we have our pros, and like everyone's just so together, and it's great, because you build like such a bond with them. I built such a bond with all these guys, and I'm just like, you guys, it's like you guys are like, I feel like you guys are my own flesh and blood, and that it's an amazing thing to have.
Where do you feel like you're at in terms of your career? Because would you say you started as a pro maybe later than the average, or about average? Like, where do you feel like you're at? Do you feel like you're maybe in the prime? Do you still feel like your prime is not yet there? And then how old do you think, at least can you imagine yourself fighting professionally for?
As a pro, it did take me a little longer than most people to go pro, but I don't look back and be like, oh my God, it took forever. I was like, this is the journey I had to take. Everyone's journey is different. Like for me, I had to take a bunch of different routes, and then when like I hit I felt like I hit like a dead end there. I came back to the main point. It's like, all right, let's take this road. All right, like a dead end there. And this is just like my mindset. But then from every route that I took, I learned something. It taught me a lesson, and then it propelled me to where I am right now. So that's the journey I had to take. Everyone else has took a different journey. They got there sooner, but I'm like, I had to take this journey. It was great for me. It was a great experience for me, and I had to learn through all these routes that I took to get to where I am. As for my prime, I feel like I'm almost hitting my prime. I'm just gonna hit it, because now that I'm at the high levels, I'm like, all right, like now we really gotta step it up even more. Fighting wise, like the fighting, there's a short window in the fighting career. I know I'm gonna know at the point where eventually, like one day, I was like, I'm not gonna fight until like I'm 40, right? Because like fighting is not all that I have. Like I have, my school, right? The Tiger Shulman school that I'm teaching at every single day. So look, I live an awesome life because I train and I go teach what I do. So I'm always in the mix of martial arts. But look, my school's in Bayside, Queens, and that's where I go to. So I train in the morning, go teach, and do it all over. And eventually the objective is just produce great students. Like for me, I was the 1% that from our, even for like us fighters, we're the 1% from the entire organization that chose to take the route to go to the UFC, to make it to the high level. We're not a fight school. We're a school for people that want to learn how to defend themselves, adults that want to get into shape. So, and there's going to be, of course, that 1% that's like, I want to compete. I want to do this. And we were that 1%. So I know the great thing about this is even after I'm done fighting, like I'm going to have my school there. So like Tiger Shulmans has set me up, for everything, so it's like, okay, you're done fighting. You're not going to be those people who's like, you know what, let me do this fight here. And then you get hurt for no reason. And he's like, dude, stop fighting. Like you're not helping yourself. It's like, I'm set in every aspect. So when I'm done fighting, you're like, I don't know. Like when that point hits, when I feel like, all right, maybe I should stop, then that's when I'm going to be like, all right, I'm done. But as of now, I feel fantastic. I'm ready to scrap, man.
Have your parents been when you first told them that you were gonna go pro and make a career out of it? Were they supportive? Were they like, what was that like?
Oh man, that was a crazy moment itself. Just when I was fighting, when I was gonna sign my first amateur contract, There was a lot of dispute because, look, of course I see it from parents' point of view. It's like, you're fighting, that's barbaric. It's like I don't want you getting in there and getting hurt. So it became this whole discussion. Like, my heart was set. I was like, I want to fight. I want to compete. Like, this is the next step. I can make it really far. Like, look, people believe that I can make it really far. I believe I can make it really far. And, like, my sisters were like, just sign the contract. Just sign the contract. Just sign it and go fight. Whatever. It's like, ignore. And, of course, my mom was like, no, I don't want you fighting this and that. It became this whole ordeal. And I was like, I'm like stressing out because I wasn't able to fight until I was 18. I had to turn 18 to be able to like go into the cage. So I'm 18. I'm like, just sign it, whatever. I signed it, and of course, my mom was upset at me for a bunch of days, and even as like through my fighting career, she's always worried. But it's a parent's duty. That's what they do.
Do they come to your fights?
My mom came to a couple of my fights. She can't stand watch. She's like, I don't want to see you get hurt. I'd rather watch it on TV, especially after the MSG fight. Oh my God.
Was she in the crowd for that?
She was there for that one. And of course, like with that amount of blood and all that, it's like, but yeah, I think, she's at a point, she's like, I'm just proud of you. I think that, people it finally clicks in. Because, of course, her worried side as a mother, seeing, her kid, of course, I'm turning 30 and she still sees me like I'm 10 years old, which I don't mind. This is like I'm the youngest of the family. So, she sees me like that and she just doesn't want anything to happen to me. But now she's like, go out there, do your thing. It's like, I'm so happy for you. It's like you're living your dream. And I'm like, sweet.
Do you think you would be a UFC fighter if you weren't that overweight 13-year-old kid?
If I was a UFC fighter before,
or do you think you would have gotten into mixed martial arts if you weren't overweight and you?
You know what? That's a really good question. I don't know. I think if I wasn't overweight, I don't think I would be where I am right now. And because I think like the fact that before, like I was actually like a very scrawny kid, and I'm just like active all over. I'd probably be playing, like soccer or basketball. And, don't get me wrong, those are great sports to play and to learn from. But I think just martial arts just taught me a lot about myself, because this is more like a self journey to me. And
what has it taught you?
Well, it just taught me just how to really face adversity in life. Because think of it this way, it's like in jiu-jitsu. You have somebody that's just laying on top of you, trying to choke you out. It's like, I just lay here and just let this person, it's like, I don't even bother fighting. It's like, I just let this person just choke me out. Don't even put up a fight. Or freaking fight till the end, man. Fight, whatever. And then like, if you get choked out, but you're trying to fight out of it, okay, that's all right. Rather than just give up and like, okay, just, do whatever you want. So through my journey, as a kid, just trying to overcome the fact that other kids bullied me because of my weight, people teased me. I was that kid that wouldn't take off his shirt at a swimming pool because I'm like, I'll just go swim my shirt. It's all right. Even though the water gets soaked, you still see my rolls through it. I was like, so, it was like, I'm like, okay, instead of just taking it in like a negative direction, it just like mentally it did a lot for me, because I'm like, people say a lot of stuff, but you can either take it as like something that you're gonna let bring you down, or you could be like, you know what, I'm gonna keep that as kind of fuel. I'm gonna add fuel to I'm gonna like just add fuel right there to the furnace, and when I'm ready, I'm gonna freaking light that match, and I'm gonna show every one of you guys who called me fat or teased me, and like, look where I am now. And like, unfortunately, I see a lot of people that I knew from back then, and I'm freaking, I feel fantastic. Like, look, if I was to shave right now, people are like, you're 16 years old. Like, literally, the facial hair is what actually makes me look
I know you look
older.
young, bro.
Exactly. And I'm like I said, I'm turning 30. And I'm like, I see people at my age, and they're not in the greatest shape. Like they look like it's like miles were put on them. So I'm just like, in a way, I kind of glad that I put on the weight that I did when I was younger, because to me, like, martial arts is kind of like my fountain of youth. You know, like, mentally, like look, I'm never stressed in my life. Like, I always feel great. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm fighting at the highest level. I'm teaching, martial arts. I'm kind of passing down the knowledge and the experience that I have to, whether it's even to adults or who want to get in shape, just teach them, like, look, don't quit. It's tough in the beginning, but once you go, it's like you're gonna be able to do it. To kids, like, look, stand up for yourself, right? It's okay. It's like you have that right to defend It's like, defend yourself. Don't let this person get the better of you. I mean, like, and like, look, you see how crazy things are lately. It's like, I'd rather impact people's lives that way, and they see it's like, if he was able to do it when he was younger, it's like, I can do it too. I was like, and the fact that this person believes in me, like, I'm going to keep going, because even if one person believes in you, it's like, you're going to see how far you can really go. And so, like, to me, it was great, like, mentally, emotionally, physically, and it's just like, it became like my thing. Like I said, it was my fountain of youth. I said, keeps you young. Like, I'm turning 30 and I feel great.
There's also, I mean, yeah, I love all that, and I love, you can feel that kind of positivity, and even when you're watching your fights, and I love when they show in between rounds the fighters on the stool. I've never seen someone who smiles as much in between rounds. I mean, like, even I think after the first round with the, in the only fight that you lost in the UFC, after that first round with Shaman, you're smiling, you're there, you're ready, you're excited. It's refreshing to see. I'm also wondering, because you mentioned it earlier, and she's not here right now. I don't know where she is. How's Asia been? You said she's your rock,
Yeah.
and a lot of I had, as I mentioned, Eric Anders on with his wife Yasmin, and it's probably tough for fighters' wives or girlfriends to see them in there.
The MMA wives.
The MMA wives. How has she how has she been your rock?
The fact that the fight career is not an easy one, just because you have to commit. You got to put a lot of time into that. Like, it's not just like, you're sacrificing a lot of the time that you are, whether spending with your family, going out with your friends and things like that, because you're waiting for this moment to happen. You have an opportunity, you're going to take it. And the fact that, and this is to all the MMA wives out there, they're sticking by you. They're supporting you. Because look, sometimes it's like you're training, then I'm teaching, and then when I'm home, it's like, sometimes I'm exhausted. Even sometimes, look, sometimes we go.
Sometimes I'll be always fucking exhausted.
Much, yeah. Sometimes, look, we go out, and although I'm there, like, mentally, like, my mind's somewhere else. And like, I even tell her, it's like, I'll be like, I'm sorry, like, I'm there, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm physically here, but mentally, I'm like thinking, I'm like checked out somewhere else. And she understands it, like, she gets it, and she's like 100% supportive about it. And she's like, look, I'm with you every step of the way, whether it's during, like, in my highs and lows. She's just like, let's fucking kick ass. Let's be brilliant this week. And, like, look, she's kind of in it too. Like, she's a certified strength and conditioning coach. So she's constantly teaching clients. She's trying to also build herself as a well-known coach. And she's really climbing up and really making a name for herself. So, she's putting in the work. She's putting in the time. So we understand what the type of lifestyles that we're living. And that's great, because the fact that I know if she's, like, focused, like, when she was taking her, I forgot the name of the test. How's it called? But it's like to become like a certified strength and conditioning coach. NSCS. Yeah, that test. Like, she's putting in like ridiculous amount of hours studying for it. And she's like, I got to study. And I'm like, it's all good. Like, it's all good. Like, do your thing. Like, it's all going to be worth it at the end when you become that certified coach. And if it's going to propel your career to something even bigger, I'm 100% behind you, because I know exactly what, and all fighters do, what it takes, especially when it comes to fighting. Look, you're committing time to, you got to train, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to make sure every step is taken correctly. And, they're there in support, and they're like, we get it. We want you. It's like, we want you to be we want you to be a champion. We want you to take it as far as you can. So there, she's been by me for every step. So, like people before have this, like they couldn't keep up with that kind of lifestyle, and she does, and she's been nothing but supportive. So while she's not here, gotta thank her, and shout out to all the MMA wives.
Shout out to the MMA wives. Do you believe you'll be UFC champion one day?
Yeah, man. Like I'm super hungry for it. Like I'm looking to just climb and face every freaking monster that's put in front of me, because that's literally what I'm climbing. It's like you guys, the thing is like Mount Olympus. At the top, you're gonna find whoever's at the top, and I'm gonna be like, we're gonna fight one day, and it's gonna be for a title. So whoever's up there, whoever gets to that title, beats Max Holloway, or if I have to fight Max Holloway one day, be super pumped. Cannot wait.
All right. Give me your prediction. Saturday, November 2nd against Hakeem Dawodu. What's going down?
All I'm going to tell you is it's going to be a freaking scrap. And just like anything else, I'm looking to leave with my hand raising victory.
You'll do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Absolutely beautiful. You can find Julio on Instagram at Julio Arce89, on Twitter at JArceTSMMA. My man, it has been an honor to have you on. I'm super excited. Oh, make sure that you tune in. 6:30 p.m. He's kicking it off at Madison Square Garden. That you can watch on UFC Fight Pass, I believe.
Yes.
That's Saturday, November 2nd. It's a huge card. Julio, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, my man. I am so excited to see you kick some ass.
Thank you so much.
And then you'll always be invited back on whenever you want.
Yeah, man. This was great. This is my first ever podcast, so thank you for having me, and I can't wait to do it again. This will be an awesome experience.
Thank you so much, man.
Of course,
appreciate it.